The Jake Asman Show will begin shortly. Thanks to all these great Patreon members who help support the show. Get your super chats ready. Jake will be here in just a moment. If you love the New York Jets, this is the place to be. And now, the Jake Asman Show.
1 week from tonight, the Jets and the Bills at MetLife Stadium. We are almost there, people. Lot to talk about in today's Jake Asman Show. Will Parkinson, the host of the Turn on the Jets podcast, will join us in his weekly spot. So let's hit it and get it started.
Damn, does it feel good to have a Super Bowl winning quarterback.
Another freaking game. Y'all fought your asses off. That was
awesome. The Jets have the New York media market. They got 6 primetime games, and Aaron Rodgers is playing quarterback for them. These guys have cameras around them all the time.
You're watching the Jake Asman Show.
Hit it! We have Garrett Wilson. Let's freaking go. We have Brees Hall. We are ready to win. Please subscribe and hit the like button below. Super chat, baby. Cut the line. We have an elite defense. You're welcome on the Jet bandwagon. Now, let's talk about the New York Jets. This is the Jake Asman Show.
Here we go. Welcome in, everybody. It is indeed the Jake Asman Show here on a Labor Day Monday. Hope everyone is having a great Labor Day weekend. Our guest today in his weekly spot is fresh off of the pickleball courts. His name is Will Parkinson, and he joins us now. Will Pa, 1 week to go until opening night. How we feeling?
Feeling good, man. I'm excited. It's going to be we kind of were joking. It's going to be a long next 7 days, but I'm excited to get real football started.
No doubt about that. So let me ask you this. Your thoughts on just the overall state of the team. 1 week out, it seems like everyone is healthy that needs to be healthy at this point. We're knocking on wood because it's still the Jets we're talking about. But overall thoughts on this roster, this team, as they get set for week 1 against the Bills next week?
Yeah, I think there's not really a lot to kind of you can always be concerned about stuff, but at the end of the day, the roster's in a good spot. Talent's there. You know, they're trending in the right direction injury-wise, getting healthier, obviously, as camp went on. They had that, kind of dip a little bit around that Bucs joint practice, a lot of injuries. Seems like everyone now, whether it's Carl Lawson, Will McDonald on defense, obviously the offensive line, Brees Hall and Dalvin Cook on offense, trending in the right direction. And, I think all eyes are kind of on, 7 days from right now.
No doubt about that. I do want to say this as well. Tomorrow is our final Hard Knocks watch party, the season finale. Episode 5 of HBO's Hard Knocks featuring the New York Jets. If you want to watch Hard Knocks with me and the rest of our Patreon crew, you sign up for the Patreon at patreon.com/Jake Asman Show. Then you join the Discord. And once you're in the Discord, you can watch Hard Knocks with us and hang out with us after the episode tomorrow night. So last chance to join. And by the way, Jet fans, you have 1 week to sign up for my Patreon to get the 15% discount from now until kickoff of week 1. Patreon.com/Jake Asman Show to sign up. Get all the extra bonus shows, the additional perks like a Hard Knocks watch party tomorrow night. So, Will, I want to play you some comments that Robert Saleh made earlier today talking about the specific game plan against the Buffalo Bills. Shout out to Boy Green, who I believe is in the audience right now, who put this out on his Twitter account to make it easy to play for everyone. So this was Robert Saleh being asked about the fact that Von Miller is seemingly not available, will not play against the Jets.
Robert, when you scout Buffalo, they obviously have a lot of great defensive players, Davis White, but Von Miller's not going to be available week 1. Do you feel that changes the game plan at all from an offensive standpoint?
No, because their D-line is as deep as anyone. They play hard. They're relentless up front, and so they've got plenty of horses in the stable, if you will. But they're pretty damn good up front. And yes, Von Miller is a phenomenal football player, but that's not going to change their ability to get after the passer.
So, Will, what do we think of that? The game plan minus Von Miller for the Jets on offense.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really buy that. The Bills, I don't have the numbers right in front of me. I think they were like 25th in pressure rate or 26th in pressure rate without Vaughn, and they're like top 5 with Vaughn. So he's a premier edge rusher. Yeah, he's not, 2015 Von Miller, where he was, literally won the Super Bowl basically by himself. That said, we saw it last year. I know the Jets beat the Bills in that first matchup, but you saw it. The Jets had all that momentum, right? The strip sack from Von Miller, that almost changed the game. So him not being there matters. They trade Boogie Basham. They have no Von Miller. They just paid out Oliver and things like that. So, there's a lot there. To say that it doesn't matter, I know it's coach speak and I get it, but I think that's a huge plus for the Jets. Like, I'm sorry if Michael Parsons or Von Miller or, some of these guys early on in the season aren't playing, Chris Jones, et cetera. Like, these guys do matter. It's the right thing to say. Of course, the Bills' defensive line still is very good. I just don't think I think it's a much different pass rush without Vaughn there. And like I said, I'll try to find the numbers here, but it's kind of staggering how much different that team was, with Vaughn on the field last year. And then after Thanksgiving, when he got hurt, they just simply didn't rush the passer the same way.
It really is huge from the standpoint as well. I mean, the Jets' offensive line, yes, they had 4 of their 5 guys out there against the Giants in that last preseason game, but Dwayne Brown hasn't played yet, so to not have to worry about Von Miller, I mean, that's a huge deal for a Jets team that's still trying to learn a new offense, new quarterback, new play caller. Like, there's a lot of new to this team, so to not have to deal with Von Miller, that is huge for the Jets on opening night.
Yeah, 100%. Look, I mean, last year, Von Miller, in 11 games, had 8 sacks. That 8 sacks in 11 games is not bad, right? And again, like I said, I just think that this is a team that has some questions at tackle. I don't know if questions is the right word, but I guess that's probably the biggest kind of question point right now, just because we haven't seen Dwayne Brown play this year. Obviously, Mekhi Becton, first game in front of fans, which I love to point out every time. In his career as a Jets player, will be playing in front of Jets fans for the first time.
You see Samini use that nugget finally, Will?
I know, finally. I know. I tweeted that like 2 years ago. Yeah, no one. I always. Regardless, I appreciate that, but no, it's a big deal. I think it's one of those things that you saw that come out. My first thought was, kind of if you're the Jets, if you're Dwayne Brown or Mekhi Becton, you kind of exhale a little bit, right? Not that it's not going to be that much easier. Again, there's other guys on the defensive line that they're fantastic, but Von Miller's Von Miller. It's the name. We saw last year when they didn't have Milano in the first game and then Von Miller in the second game, the Jets offense did move the football. Like there's no question about that. And that's with Zach Wilson, Mike White, Joe Flacco, et cetera. So the game plan, I think, is going to be very simple for the Jets, and it's going to be the same way all year. They're going to want to run the football. They're going to want to get the ball in a playmaker's hands on the outside early and often, get the ball out of Rodgers' hands. And then, when they have some time, they're going to take some shots. But it's going to be a lot of what we saw in the preseason game. I know it's going to be a much more expanded version of that, obviously. But, it's a lot of, boots out left, boots out right, kind of getting the ball to the tight ends, getting the ball to Garrett Wilson, the short to intermediate game, then take those shots over the top, when you have a shot. But, early on in the year, I think it's a lot of, I know they're going to lean on Brees and Dalvin judiciously in terms of, how they manage their reps. But, Dalvin, a little Dalvin here, a little Brees Hall, then you mix in Michael Carter and things of that nature. So I think they're going to try to control the clock. That's what they did last year. Remember, they punched Buffalo right in the mouth. They ran the ball well both matchups. Michael Carter doesn't fumble there, and Mike White doesn't get hurt. They win both those matchups. So turn Josh Allen over. That's what they've done his entire career. Since he came into the league. That's kind of one of those dirty kept little secrets. The Jets have played Buffalo really well the last 5 years now. They've only won one of those games, but it's not because the defense has not had a good grip of what the Bills want to do and force the Bills to run the football. And if you're the Jets, be successful running the football and give yourself a shot, get the ball to Rodgers' hands quickly. And then, like I said, be able to take some shots when you're able to.
You mentioned, obviously, Brees and Dalvin. That's where I want to go next. This was Robert Saleh earlier today. Once again, courtesy of Boyd Green on Twitter, talking specifically about the running backs that I just mentioned.
How are you health-wise? Is anyone not practicing today?
No, we're in pretty good shape. We're not going to practice Brees, but that's nothing wrong with that. It's just part of the maintenance program. But other than that, everything else is good to go.
Robert, when the season starts, will Brees be on a snap count? Will Dalvin be on snap? Because they haven't done as much.
Yeah, we're going to be. I don't know if I want to call it a snap count, but we are going to be smart with them. We'll continue to evaluate and build up what we think Monday needs to be, but it's not that we're putting a snap count on. It's just there are two really good football players. Michael Carter is a really good football player, and just trying to find a way to feature all of them, and along with the receivers and tight ends that we have. So there's going to be enough to go around.
Here's my prediction, Will, for what I think the snap counts look like. I think it's going to be 45% snaps for Brees and for Dalvin, and I think Michael Carter gets the other 10%. I think that's kind of my vibe. Maybe 15% for Carter, maybe it's a little less for Brees and Dalvin early, but I think that we're going to see kind of like a split rotation with Brees and Dalvin and some Michael Carter. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so just looked up the stat while you were playing that. I was right. He was, when Von Miller with a 4-man rush last year, the Bills' fifth highest best percentage, QB pressure percentage with Von, 29.6%. So, I mean, basically every third snap they're getting pressure with just 4. He goes out, they move down to 22nd in the league, without him. So it's a huge difference. That said, just your question, I mean, I wrote it you'll see in the Badlands season preview guy in, I guess, a couple days it'll come out. I think I'm leaning more. It's 45% Dalvin, maybe only 25-30% Brees early on, and then Michael Carter will get the rest of those reps. I just look at, they've been so cautious with Brees all preseason. I just have a hard time. He's looked amazing. When I saw him in person twice, he's looked fantastic. Like, there's nothing wrong with him. But again, he hasn't played, right? Like, he still has to trust that knee. And I think, you want to get him involved a little early just to kind of settle the nerves, trust the knee a little bit. But I think Michael Carter's going to play a lot more than people realize early on in the year. And I think you lean on Dalvin. He's veteran, coming off a shoulder thing. But again, it just feels like that's a guy that kind of step on the field right away. So I think it's maybe 45% Dalvin. Maybe he's at 15 carries. Brees is at 7 or 8 with 2 catches. And then Michael Carter's at 5 or 6 carries or somewhere in that range. Obviously, the more carries they get, it's probably a good thing for the Jets. Means they're likely winning the football game and trying to kind of pound the rock.
You imagine what that first long run for Brees or Dalvin's going to sound
Brees.
Like?
Yeah,
if it's Brees, 80,000 with the Brees chance, oh man, it's gonna be nuts. I'm with you. Brees looks great. I do wonder if maybe they're still cautious early on, but if he's looking like the guy we saw early last year, if he's just like an alien like Adrian Peterson was coming off the ACL in 2012, feed him the ball, man. Like, let's go.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. I want to see them. A lot of times what ends up happening with these guys that are coming off kind of the, you're coming off an ACL, you're coming off an Achilles, you're coming off a shoulder, whatever it is. You've tried to go so hard to rehab that leg that the other leg, you pull a hamstring, I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying that's what you probably want to guard away. Not necessarily the ACL. It's more of guarding almost against yourself or letting yourself kind of ease into that. So I agree with you. He's going to play, and I think he's going to, get some carries in there, maybe get a couple catches out of the backfield. I'm just curious what that actually looks like, from the aspect of the kind of breakdown of carries. But him just being in the game and having Buffalo have to prepare for Brees Hall is huge, right? We talked about how the Jets don't have to prepare for Von Miller. Well, the Bills do have to prepare for Brees Hall and Dalvin Cook, both guys who, we saw last year. Dalvin Cook have a pretty monstrous, run against Buffalo in Buffalo. And, obviously we know what Brees Hall can do. The Jets offense was, even with Zach Wilson, Joe Flacco putting up pretty decent numbers when they had Brees Hall and AVT. The second they went out, this offense obviously changed for the worse. So, I'm excited to see him back in action, and I think he's in for a big year too, especially the back half of the year post bye. I think you're going to see Brees kind of assume that number 1 role and be the bell cow guy that we kind of all expected last year.
I mean, Paul makes a great point in the comments here. I mean, the Bills have never seen Brees Hall. Like, he never got a chance to play against them last year. So just the fact you got a game plan for him.
It's so nuts they won that game. Look back at that game, dude. That last drive, they were led by Zach Wilson, Nate Herbig, Denzel Mims, and James Robinson. So it was the fact they beat them, looking back, without, not only without Brees and AVT, but, they had some, other guys missing too. It's crazy.
Don't remember anyone complaining about the O-line after that game when they got the 6-3. Notice how that worked.
Seta Bougier and Nate Herbig, crushing people on that right side was nuts.
Yeah, it really is crazy when you think about it. So a lot still to get into with you, Will. I mean, overall, You look at this Jets team, and to me, the regular season goal has to be you have to win the AFC East. Robert Saleh just the other day talked about how important that is for this team, and I understand it's a really competitive division. I get all that, but if not now, then when for the Jets, who have won only 2 division titles since the merger? This game on Monday night, yes, it's just one of now 17, but it's more than that. Given the opponent, given the fact you're at home, all the hype surrounding this team, like the statement they make by winning is massive, and obviously the ramifications for the division are massive. So just your thoughts on that, the importance of winning the division in this game on Monday night.
Yeah, so kind of I'll handle the second question first. Look, week one, and you know this better than anybody. You talk on radio every day. Week one, the overreactions week one are horrendous. It's like the worst. It's the worst part. Like, people already crowning Colorado as the college football playoff champions. USC is going to blow their doors off, and they're probably not going to beat Nebraska this week. So, like, just if you look at college football, like how the crazy overreactions we're already seeing, right? Brian Kelly's now a bad coach, and Georgia's in trouble because FSU's coming. Like, that's what we're seeing just in college football. Now, fast forward to the NFL, we saw it 2 years ago. The Packers go down to New Orleans, neutral field game because of a hurricane, and the Packers lose by 1,000 points. Everyone's like, Rodgers is done. The MVP was a fluke. And then they won 13 of the next 15 games and blew everyone's doors off, and Rodgers won the MVP. So when you look at it from that perspective, I just think don't overreact too much to week one. That said, between the hype, the market we're in, the fact that it's a division game, the fact that the Bills are the reigning AFC East champions the last 3 years, it makes this game as important of a week one matchup as you're going to find. The Jets win. They're now 2 games up on Buffalo, and that's huge, right? Like, that's a great start. Now you're going to Dallas, who Rodgers is going to be fired up for McCarthy and the Cowboys. You're feeling pretty good about coming home 2-0 to face New England. Like, all of a sudden, if they win on Monday, right, you feel like, wow, why can't we start 3-0 going into the Kansas City game? You lose and you look okay. You still feel pretty good about yourself going into Dallas. The biggest thing, they cannot look bad on Monday night. They cannot be 27-13. They look like trash. Because, yes, of course, it's week one. Like, who cares? They could look awesome 2 weeks later. The Jets weren't great last year on week one. They won week 2, right? So that's all possible. Again, look respectable. Try to get out of there with W. You're going to have this fired up home crowd. They win week one. The media, in the market, it's going to have a very different reaction, right? People are going to be like, oh, this team going to the Super Bowl, as opposed to they lose. It's like, was Rodgers the wrong decision? Should he have not come here? Like, what's going to happen. It's happened. Get Up will lead with one of those two things. And yeah, the goal should be winning the AFCs. Why not? Like, why would the goal not be? Everyone's expecting Buffalo to kind of regress a little bit, although some people still think that the class of the division, people like Miami, there's obviously health questions there. New England, it looks like it's going to be in a down year. So I've said it all along, the expectations, and I think reasonable expectations for Jets fans and for the team itself in year one of this thing, get to the divisional round. Easiest way to do that, win your division and host a home playoff game. Do I think that people would be happy if, they get further? Obviously. Do I think people will be disappointed if the Jets, win a wild card game at home and then go to Kansas City and lose 27-24 in overtime and go, wow, we're one draft and one free agency away from, beating Kansas City in year 2 of Rodgers? Like, that should be the goal here. So again, win your division, host a home playoff game. I think that's a reasonable expectation. But again, obviously, if you don't go out and beat Buffalo week 1 and you got to take care of business week 3 against New England, it's hard to be like, that's a real expectation. Go beat these teams, right? You beat them. You beat Buffalo last year. You beat Miami. They made a jump from, I think Saleh talked about it last week, I believe, during cutdown day. I think he's like, oh, we hadn't won a division game in forever. Won a couple, should have won a couple other ones we blew. Now with the quarterback, with a team that's a little bit more veteran savvy, should be able to take care of business. Go 4-2 in your division. Go 11-6 or 12-5, and take care of business. Get a home playoff game and don't have to win 3 on the road. Like, right, and who wants to have to go win 3 on the road in today's NFL? If you can host a home playoff game, no one's saying number 1 seed. That'd be really cool, obviously, or no one's saying Super Bowl or bust. But I think maybe people are. But I said, try to win your division, try to get to round 2 of the playoffs, however possible, and kind of go from there.
Speaking of this game on Monday, specific matchups, Will, how do you think the Jets match up with the Buffalo Bills?
Yeah, I think they match up decently well. I'm curious what their plan is for kind of keeping Matt Milano from wrecking the game for them. We saw it. He didn't play the first matchup. The Jets took advantage of the middle of the field. The run game was totally different. The Jets were able to run the football better than in Buffalo. Milano obviously broke Mike White in half. He had a couple other TFLs. He's awesome. I wonder how, Trey White year 2 off the ACL. Garrett Wilson had his way with him. I mean, to say the least, last year. And, are they able to get Garrett Wilson involved? Like I said, I just think the matchup was the Jets match up pretty well with Buffalo. They're very similar teams. The Jets are built, you ask people around the league, they're kind of built to beat Buffalo. Right? They're very similar. Attack with 4, really good secondary, and on offense, have that elite playmaker and the unicorn quarterback. I think the biggest key, honestly, is the Jets just being able to get out to a fast start and match up well with, they match up well with, the Bills. If the Bills have to sit back and throw 50 times, the Jets want that, right? That's how they can match up. The Jets defensive line should have Buffalo's offensive line questions as well. I mean, I don't know if anybody watched, Bills Steelers 2 weeks ago. Bills played their starters, and they played so poorly that Sean McDermott played them again the next week because the offensive line was getting toasted. Like I said, I think
they have O-line issues that the media has just completely ignored all summer because it's popular to say the Jets O-line's bad.
Yeah, the Jets, it's bait Josh Allen. There's some turnovers. Again, they match up well. I mean, no one matches up well with Stephon Diggs, right? I mean, of course, Sauce did a nice job last year, and so the Jets did a great job in general. He got beat on that first play in the home game, and then, other than that, not too much. But make Gabe Davis beat you. Make James Cook go for 150 and 3 touchdowns. That's where if you're the Jets, you take advantage of it. And again, I'm sure Buffalo's thinking, make the Jets run game beat us because, we don't want to have Garrett Wilson and Aaron Rodgers be the reason we lose, make the tight ends and things of that nature. But I think the Jets match up pretty well against Buffalo just because they're built kind of similarly. And again, no Von Miller helps the Jets tremendously, in my opinion, and having the Jets have me at full strength. They should be in a pretty decent spot. Again, Bills are playoff tested. They've won this division a zillion times in a row, it feels like, and they've got a unicorn at quarterback, and they've got a really good staff. So I'm very curious. The matchup of Nate Hackett, first time as the full OC calling plays in a while. I know it's Rodgers' offense, but Nate Hackett is the new OC. First year as the OC with the Jets. And no Leslie Frazier now in Buffalo. McDermott calling plays again. How does that affect them? How does, Ken Dorsey last year kind of felt like he was just running a lot of 4 verticals. It ran QB power and 4 verticals every single play. Did they adjust? Does the Bills' offense look the same where it's Stephon Diggs or bust? Because, again, you take Diggs or you say Stephon Diggs could have 1,000 yards this game. No one else is going to touch the football. We'll see how it goes. But, again, I think they match up decently well. I'm sure Buffalo feels the same way. I'm sure Buffalo feels like, we match up well with the Jets, going forward.
Yeah, no doubt about that. And really set the tone, score early, Will. Get a lead and then let those pass rushers do their thing. Crowd starts to get involved. I mean, that's where the Jets could really feast if they get a lead early. Get back to the conversation with Will Parkinson in a moment. Reminder, Jet fans, Jets Raiders, book your stay at Circa Resort and Casino. Jake Asman here. I got some great news to share with all of you. You took our exclusive promo code for a discounted stay at the legendary Circa Resort and Casino for Jets Raiders weekend on November 12th, and you turned it into the most successful promo code Circa has ever seen. But guess what? We're rolling out the red carpet with a lineup of extra exclusive events. Get ready for more than just an open bar party. Picture this, a reserved haven at the iconic Stadium Swim where we could soak up the sun and watch college football all together. And that's not all. We're kicking off the game day action with a reserved spot for my listeners at the world's largest indoor sportsbook to catch the 10 a.m. NFL games the Sunday of Jets Raiders. And then off to the stadium all together. You do not want to miss this incredible weekend. Use my promo code JAKE15. Book your stay today at circalasvegas.com. I can't wait to see all of you at Circa Resort and Casino. Oh, yeah. Jake15, circalasvegas.com. Before we get back to the conversation with Will, Ronald wrote in, what do you think about re-signing Denzel Mims for some depth? Ronald, you just committed the cardinal sin. You brought up Denzel Mims. We'll see you later.
Into the shadow realm you go.
And last in the AFC East, the New York Jets, most overrated 7-win team I've ever seen in NFL history, along with a soon-to-be 40-year-old quarterback. But he was nice to his teammates, I guess.
Denzel Mims. What are we doing here? Well, let me ask you this. The expectations for Aaron Rodgers. What are you expecting? Give us maybe, a loose projection of some stats if you want, but what version of Aaron Rodgers are the Jets getting this season?
Yeah, I think Jets just named their captain. It's the most obvious thing of all time.
Can I guess, because I haven't seen it yet?
Yeah.
I'm going to guess it's Rodgers, Mosley, and it's Hardy as their three captains.
Yeah, of course.
Yep. Okay.
Biggest lock of the century. Everyone was commenting like, "Do you think Q and Garrett Wilson will be your sauce?" I was like, "Dude, two of those three guys were captains last year, and they all were both all pros. You think they're gonna, you think they're gonna just not be captains now?"
Yeah, it's not like the Giants where they have like 19% of their roster as captains. The Jets only have 3, and then the coaches will pick a game captain every week.
Says a lot about the. Never mind. Says a lot about the Giants, but what Rodgers going to see? Now I've seen that Nick Wright clip as well. He's had some interesting takes in the Jets. I'm not sure. It's like kind of the team he hates. He always picks a team he doesn't like or hates every year, and it's kind of him and Colin have decided that's the team they're going to go with. So be it. He's a Chiefs fan and Mahomes guy. I get it. He may be a little intimidated. What Rodgers am I expecting? I'm expecting 85% of what we saw 2 years ago from Rodgers. I'm expecting a guy that's a top 7, top 8 quarterback in the league. I'm expecting a guy that at times will look like an MVP. At times, won't be the unicorn, guy that has had 2 or 3 of the best 5 quarterback seasons ever. I'm not expecting that. Look, like Fireman was on the show the other day, and he's been on your show. He said Rodgers going to throw for 50 touchdowns and 5,000 yards. I appreciate that. That would be one of the 2 or 3 best seasons ever. Maybe he does do that. I'm expecting more of, a guy that's 3,500, 4,000 yards, kind of in what he's been in, 30 to 35 touchdowns and 8 to 10 picks, a little bit less interceptions than last year, more productive from a touchdown perspective, yardage, obviously a little bit better. I'm expecting Rodgers to look good, though. There's nothing I've seen in camp or in the preseason or anything you've heard over the summer that make you feel any differently. He still looks agile, can still move enough. They still got all the zip on the throws. This offense has talent. The defense looks fantastic. The offensive line is getting better. They have a great run game. And his offense, there's just no reason. It shouldn't be. Again, could he fall off a cliff? I don't know, I guess, but he didn't look like it all summer. I can tell you that much. I saw him in person a bunch. I did not feel that way at all. I actually felt like he looked a lot better than he did last year. He had a Bruce Thurman broken throwing hand, thumb on his hand with way less talent than he's had in a long time in Green Bay. That team was just a disaster last year, and they almost made the playoff. All these things, they do matter. So again, 85% of the 2 years ago MVP, I think the Jets would take that. And, I'd feel really good if I was a Jets fan. I think that means you probably win between 10 and 12 games.
We'll take that in a second. And I think you look at 2019 where Aaron Rodgers threw just under 30 touchdowns. They still went 13-3 that year. If they have a ball control offense, Rodgers takes care of the ball. Their running game sets the tone. They have long, sustained drives. They don't need to score 35 points every game to win with this defense. So I think Rodgers, and I forget which person I heard made this point. They weren't saying it as an insult. It was the highest of compliments. Rodgers is the best game manager of all time. He'll do whatever it takes in that circumstance to win, whether it's ball control or need to be in a shootout. He's perfectly equipped to handle whatever the game dictates, which is what really excites me about this team with the defense they have around them.
Yeah, no, I just think that a lot of the dialogue around, you see that of, he's, Tom Brady's the unicorn, and, that's every other quarterback's falling off a cliff. I think Breeze at 40 still threw for 4,500 yards. It was age 42 Drew Brees that sucked, and they still went to the divisional round of the playoffs. Or Peyton Manning was, the worst, version of Peyton Manning. He basically looked like Zach Wilson against the Patriots last year in the Super Bowl, and they still won a title. So, yeah, I'm just I know this is repeating myself here, but I'm expecting a Rodgers that he's bought in. His teammates are bought into him. The coaching staff's bought into Rodgers. Rodgers bought into the staff. Again, it's all well and good right now. None of the bullets have really started flying, but why feel any differently that this team can't be incredibly, entertaining every week, be in the mix, with the Chiefs, Bengals, Ravens, the list goes on, but I just don't see why they can't be one of those teams right up there.
We will get into some of your super chats now for Will and I to answer. We'll talk about anything that is on your mind. We'll take some calls as well. If you click the link to join the Gusbuster Umbrella Hotline, all our calls, of course, brought to you by Gusbuster Umbrellas.
If you go to gusbuster.com, you could purchase the best umbrella in the universe. And you could use the promo code Jake, so you'll get 15% off on any of your umbrellas.
Gusbuster is, in fact, the official umbrella that you see at the U.S. Open. And speaking of the U.S. Open, it's good to see Randall Cobb could still afford U.S. Open tickets with Aaron Rodgers and C.J. Uzomah after such a large fine last week. Will, what do we think of C.J.'s blue hair, by the way?
Little Hollywood. I know he got ripped a little bit in Hard Knocks for that. Curious why he went with the blue. Be interesting to see. But, CJ Uzomah is a big character, big personality. If anyone was going to, rock different color hairs and stuff during camp, it felt like he was the guy that might do it.
Once again, if anyone is selling U.S. Open tickets, I'm trying to go this week when I get back.
Dude, I went last week. It was awesome.
Yeah.
I went night one.
I haven't gone in 5 years. I used to go every year, but Gusbuster has already received their allotted tickets, and I missed the cut because I wasn't home.
I got to see Djokovic in person, which was awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, I saw him opening night. He didn't lose a point for like 10 or 12 straight games. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, he's pretty good. If anyone is selling the U.S. Open tickets, please DM me. I'd love to go to the U.S. Open when I'm home, but the tickets on like the secondary market are absurd. So if someone's selling
dude, it's nuts, and it's only going to get worse.
I know.
There's a lot of Americans left. That's why. It's even getting women and men's side.
If anyone's selling or wants to invite me to join them at the U.S. Open, you let me know. All right, let's get into some super chats here. We'll take your calls as well. Before we do that, shout out to Steph, who just became our latest channel member. Anytime you become a channel member, you get an instant shout out. You also get the benefit of the badge next to your name, so your comments are more likely to be read first. And you get access to the custom emojis, and future episodes will be members only, where only a YouTube channel member can comment. So it's another way to support my show as we make YouTube my full-time career for the foreseeable future. Famous Jay writes in, I love the Jets haters coming out. When the Jets destroy Buffalo, a hole will appear under them, and they will all be cast into the shadow realm. Go Jets. It kind of does go back, though, to something you said, Will. That's why this game is so big. If you win opening night at home against the Bills and look good doing it, what are they then going to say now? Like, I'm sure there'll be someone that will try and move the goalpost and say, well, they're not better than the Chiefs. Okay, cool. That's not the goal after week one, but you win week one against the Bills. People talk about you as the favorite to win the AFC East, and they totally look at your projection of a season in a different light if you go out there and win week one.
I could not agree more. I don't know if the haters are going to crawl in a hole if the Jets win week one. I think it's more likely they will make an excuse as to why it's only week one, so it doesn't matter. All year, it's going to be, as a Jets fan, just to prepare yourself that every time the Jets do something well, there's going to be met with, it's still early, it's still improving. Rodgers didn't do well in the playoffs 2 years ago. The Jets did start well last year. This team's got an injury. Like, just prepare yourself for that. They're not going to get the full credit from most people until they prove it and they win a title. And if they do badly, it's going to be, I told you so. I told you Rodgers was done. It was all hype. You're not going to win with people's, if they want to be in or out on the Jets. Like, it's not, you're not going to win. It's not about, I would try, enjoy it for yourself. Like, enjoy it and like be happy that like you enjoying to watch, going into a Jets game every single week saying we could beat this team. We have a shot. We're going to be relevant, et cetera, et cetera. Like, the people that are, they're not, not believers in the Jets, they're not going to be. And the people that are going to, continue to be, you're going to hear excuses. Yeah, I don't know who just put that, but you're going to hear excuses all year, or you're going to hear, I told you so. So just prepare yourself. Go out and take care of business and at least be able to say, like, that's cool, the Jets won. Like, that's all that you want to be able to do. It's, blah, blah. Yep, sorry. Look at last year. That's the funniest part of the Miami, Jets stuff is there's a lot of trash talk back and forth, and then you post the 40-17 from last year, and people have nothing really to say. So continue to try to enjoy it for yourself, like I said, and you're just not going to win with certain segments on either side that are, going to try to set you up for failure or going to use an excuse as to why, it's not as important when they in fact, every game in the NFL is incredibly important.
Ray Danger writes in, did you guys see the DJ Reed recent tweet about the defense? It wasn't a tweet. DJ Reed was asked about the expectations for the defense, and he talked about how he thinks they could be one of the all-time great defenses, which I'd rather hear that than, we think we're going to be okay. I think people look too much into, like, player statements. These guys are all confident, and they have a reason to be confident on that side of the ball. They were top 4 last year with the 29th offense, giving them no support. Now Aaron Rodgers is your quarterback. So I have massive expectations for this defense. Well, for me, they got to force more turnovers if they want to be considered a historic defense. That's the next level for them to get to.
80 sacks just forever. Wow, that'd be impressive. That would be insane, but incredibly impressive nonetheless. Yeah, look, this defense is incredibly confident. They're incredibly talented. Yeah, I mean, I would argue the 85 Bears are not as good as the 2002 Bucks and the 2000 Ravens, but that's a whole nother discussion. This defense needs to be awesome, but they don't need to be as good as they were last year in some senses. Like, they didn't give up any points last year, which is obviously important, but they didn't give up a lot of yards either. This year, if you give up a little bit more yards, maybe you're not quite as dominant from a scoring defense perspective, but you take the football away more, you're able to, force turnovers, sack the quarterback more. Like, that's what's really going to be important for this team is keep them in games. And when they play with a lead, just absolutely let it fly and just start hitting quarterbacks. Again, I think they should be awesome. I see no reason why they shouldn't be a top 6 or top 7 defense at worst. I think more likely they're a top 2 or 3 defense. But again, turnovers need to increase, continue to sack the quarterback, hit the quarterback, limit the missed tackles and penalties. And, they turned the football over more last year. Some of those dropped interceptions are caught. A couple less roughing the passer penalties, late hits, things of that nature. Team's looking at a different game, but this defense should be awesome. They have all 5 of their DBs are in their prime and or entering their prime. Both linebackers, one's in his prime, the other one's probably lost a half a step, but is smarter than he's ever been and playing still at an all-pro level. And then their entire defensive line's in their prime or entering their prime. Like, that's awesome. Like, they have a really good defensive coach, and I don't know. I've high expectations for them, and they should. This team should be really good defensively and hit the quarterback a ton, turn the football over, and get the ball in Rodgers' hands as many times as possible.
Larry, I'm the most negative Jet fan to ever live, writes in.
Why do you root for the team?
I don't know, man. Larry's one of a kind. I appreciate your super chat, though, Larry. This will go to my Chipotle tonight. They say the Labor Day Chipotle, Will, is one of the best Chipotles of the year. So we're going to find out. Is Will saying that the Jets have to win a home playoff game or bust?
No, I'm not saying that. I think they have to win a playoff game unless they're.
You're saying they got to get to the divisional round to at least feel like they've achieved
a
successful season.
Again, okay, and sure, if you want to be. If they're the 6th seed and they go to Cincinnati on wild card weekend and lose in overtime to a team that's been in the title game 2 years in a row, but they look awesome. They had a really good year. You feel really good about all these. Like, that's why I'm not into like this or bust. Like, it doesn't. Context matters. Did the Jets would have in 2009 if they lose in the divisional round in San Diego, 24-21, you still feel awesome going into year 2.
Sure.
Right? Like, that's why year 1 with Mangini and then going into the Rex years, the reason you felt confident, you didn't feel as confident about that team is because they sucked down the stretch. Even the Jets last year flipped last year, right? They started 3-6 and finished 7-10. You probably feel better about this. You would have felt better about this team. That's just that's all how it goes, right? Like you're wearing the Yankee hat. Like, the Yankees right now, like, they're probably not making the playoffs, right? There's like a 1% shot. But if they finish, I don't know, they have 28 to go or 27 to go. If they finish 17-10 over these next 27 games, the young kids look awesome. You feel really good about it going into next year, and it's a totally different thing. You're building on that.
The only reason why I'm wearing a Yankees hat because one, they swept
Jason
the Astros,
Dominguez,
and 2, they actually called up their young kids. They're actually fun to watch again because there's been a black hole watching this team all year. Now finally they're watchable.
Yeah, Stanton and Cole both were like, oh wow, this is actually really fun, like playing with these young kids who care. And I was like, someone said it. Regardless, no, I don't think it's host home playoff game or bust, but I think it's a realistic expectation that you have Aaron Rodgers. You have a really talented roster. You have a team that everyone widely probably considers a team that should win 10+ games. Haven't hosted a playoff game since 2002. Me and Jake were still in early elementary school when that happened. And I think it's reasonable to expect that why not go host a playoff game at least? I'm not saying have home field throughout the playoffs. They're not going to be I doubt they're the number 1 seed. Maybe I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. But yeah, host a home playoff game and win it, and then go on the road and beat whoever it is if you need to, or if you're the higher seed, you play 2 at home. You know what I mean? Like, this is like, it's not this or bust. It's just.
Did we lose Will? Did we lose him? We might have lost Will Parkinson. See, Larry, look what you do, man. Look what you caused. Unbelievable. We'll see if we can get Will back on here. I agree with him. To me, the regular season goal is win the division. Win the division, home playoff game, win home playoff game. They get to at least a divisional round. From a big picture perspective, I don't know how you could sit here and say that's not a successful year one with Rodgers when you know he's coming back. Now, will it still hurt like hell if they lose in the divisional round? Yeah. Yeah, it will. But ultimately, like from a big picture perspective, that's still a really good year on the conference you're in. Now, if they get in as a wild card and then go on a run, obviously you're disappointed you didn't win the division, but it's all about where the season ends. Like Will brought up 09 and 2010. They didn't win the division that year, but they got to the championship game in back-to-back seasons. So like that's still the goal for this team to go on a deep playoff run no matter how they do it. I think the minimum expectation is they have to be a playoff team. Otherwise, there could be jobs that are lost. Head coach, general manager, who knows? But there'll be changes if they miss the playoffs, assuming Rodgers is healthy for the vast majority of the year. So minimum expectation is like the bare minimum, you're a playoff team. Regular season expectation is you got to go out there and you have to try and win this division. Like that's the goal for the regular season. I don't care about being the 1 seed. That'd be nice, but that's not like you can't expect to be the 1 seed. You want to win the AFCs. Will brought it up. 2002, the last time the Jets did that. Herm Edwards was the coach. MetLife has never had a game at Giants Stadium. Or let me repeat that. MetLife has never had a Jets playoff game. The last time the Jets had a home playoff game, they were still playing at Giants Stadium. Will just texted me Wi-Fi issues. He'll be back on in a second. So while we wait for Will, let's keep rolling with some of your comments, your questions, super chats, your calls on the Gusbuster hotline. So first up today is our guy Johnny, who joins us now. What's up, Johnny?
Hey, what's going on, Jake? Had a question for Will as well, but I'll probably let you know it in a moment. And then I did have a comment that I wanted to talk to you a little bit in regards to. This is a Jets channel, right?
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of Jets content that's out there. We're able to finally be able to be happy, enjoy the offseason, something that we haven't had in such a long time, right? We're having these delusional Miami, blackened and bruised Mahi fans coming onto these shows saying this, and that. Guys, what have you guys done? Who's going to be your quarterback after week 1? You guys don't even know that. So stop. Just stop coming in. And then these Buffalo flat burnt wing fans too. I mean, it's exactly what Will said, right? We are made for that team to be able to go ahead and beat them. And yes, we have Aaron Rodgers, but we're not expecting Aaron Rodgers to go ahead and throw like 50 touchdowns, 5,000 yards. No, we just need a quarterback that expects perfection from every position for us to continue and do what we need to do to win these games. We have Breece Hall. We have Garrett Wilson. We have our offensive line that's there, right? I mean, we have Cook now, and the tight ends are going to eat. I just wanted to throw that in there. And the other team that's in our division that I don't even like talking about, right, are not even talking. They're just letting it happen and see what's gonna roll, right? And they're probably gonna be last in the division this year as well. And the only question that I did want to ask Will, if he comes back, if you could ask him, is
You're
what
in
I've been
luck.
asking.
Here he is.
Here he is.
What up?
Hey, what's going on, Will?
What's up, bro?
I hope you heard my rant, freaking Miami, blackened and bruised, freaking Mahi fans, and them insane Buffalo flat wing burntness that they have fans. They're just coming at us for no reason. Like, let us be happy. We actually have a front office that knows what they're doing. We're being able to bring players. I mean, dude, we have players that want to play for us, and they're young. When's the last time we've had people wanting to come play for us? But I had a question for you, right? With the positions that we have in the room, different rooms, right, of positions that we have, which one do you feel like is the most underrated teams that we have? Well, underrated positional rooms currently right now. Hey, like always, go Jets. Jake, you're the man. Will, I like your content as well, dude.
Thanks, bro. I appreciate that.
Talks about good stuff, and go Jets.
Thanks, Johnny.
Yeah, sorry about that. My Wi-Fi restarts once a day.
I just blame Larry, man. I mean, Larry's negative energy.
Yeah, he sent me the Shadow Realm for being positive. Most underrated Jets room. I'll go with the tight end room. I think the tight end room, I don't think they have a star in that room that, like Travis Kelce, even in Dallas Goedert, for example. Mark Andrews, Waller, those type of guys. I do think it's really solid room though, and I think that Tyler Conklin's going to have a big year. I think that Jeremy Ruckert's going to play a ton. I think he's going to be really crucial and vital to them, kind of being able to do some 2 tight end, packages, play some fullback, play some tight end, allow them to kind of get Conklin more involved in the passing game. Ruckert had a really nice camp. He's taking a big step. I liked him use my tight end 1 coming out last year. So, amidst the the Jets, fandom and things like that, which is awesome. I also think he's a pretty good, damn good player. So I'm going to go with the tight end room. I think even CJ Uzomah is probably their 3rd best tight end. I know he is the highest paid, but the vibes and the blue hair, I think he's a nice player, but a guy who's kind of limited athletically in terms of, Ruckert and Conklin are much more kind of agile in that sense. And they've got some guys like, the Yeboahs and Kuntz of the world that, will kind of compete in the practice squad and could potentially play on special teams. But they got 3 guys right there. That combo and Baldwin, I think, is that fullback. It's an underrated room. I don't think, again, is it the 12th best room in the league or 10th? Sure. But, that's better. The Jets have just not had good tight end play, in a very long time.
Average Joe, who's a channel member, writes in, the only NFC game on our schedule I have circled is the Eagles. It's time to finally beat them for the first time.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one NFC East game I'm not so sure the Jets are winning. I would have the Giants game circled and the Cowboys because why not?
Washington, the Cowboys game in week 2. Can't wait.
Yeah, it's a beautiful stadium. Should be a fun. Rodgers playing against McCarthy and Rodgers against Dallas is obviously always a fun time. The Jets actually against Dallas have had some fun memories as well recently. Yeah, the Eagles game, they have to beat the Eagles, right? They haven't beat them ever, but the Eagles are probably the 2nd hardest game on their schedule. So we'll see how that's a big litmus test to them. It's hard to look forward to that right now because they've got 3 or 4 games before that feel like big litmus tests as well. But that's the game before the trade deadline. For the Jets, they obviously have a bye the next week. Going to the Giants game, it'll be very interesting to see where they're at after 6 weeks. 3-3, 4-2. Do they go all in on a Mike Evans, Devontae Adams? Florio pointed at Aaron Donald. We'll see on those. Or are they struggling? Are they 2-4 and need to have a big piece because they're it's not looking right? Or that's just gonna be a really interesting game for a million reasons. And again, that's a team that if you can match up physically up front on both sides of the ball, I think you'd feel really good about it.
No doubt about that. How do you feel overall about the first 6 games of the Jets season? Well, like for me, 4-2 minimum should be the goal. 3-3, they're fine, depending on obviously, out of the 3 losses, who are they against? But everyone talks about the gauntlet of the first 6 games. And yeah, on paper it looks difficult, but I say this every year. It's all about when you play teams because last year everyone said it was so hard at the beginning and they were 6-3, and then the games against Seattle and Detroit and Jacksonville that were supposed to be easy wins, they lost all of them, and those teams ended up being really good teams. They were, playoff teams with a couple of those teams I mentioned. So your thoughts on the first 6, what are you reasonably expecting from the Jets?
Yeah, I think I said this on WFN the other day. I think worst case is 2-4. You cannot be worse than 2-4. If you beat Buffalo, New England, you start 2-4. It's not ideal, but at least it's 2 division wins, and your schedule softens up after that, and you'd feel good. Maybe your losses are to teams like Philly and Dallas and stuff in the NFC. It doesn't affect your conference record too badly. All these different things. Again, context is key. I think 3-3 is the goal. I think it's a fair, very fair, reasonable kind of start. But I also think 4-2 is not that it should not be that crazy.
Oh.
A ton of home games, a couple games they're favored in. I think they're favored in 3 of the 6. They'll be favored in 3 of the 6 likely, or at least 2 of the 6. If you beat Buffalo week 1, that's why I said it just kind of feels like, can you avoid anything less? You have to win one of your first 4, obviously. I think it goes that same. Can you split? Can you win one of Dallas, Kansas City, and Buffalo? Can you win one? If you can win more than one, you're chilling. But can you win at least one? Start 2-2. You think you have to beat New England. You feel good about beating Denver, and then the Philly game's anyone's guess. Again, Philly's probably going to be favored by a couple points at least, unless they something happens with them. So again, 3-3, 4-2. Yeah, obviously dream world. You start 5-1, 6-0. Not sure I see that happening. 5-1 maybe at most, but yeah, you'd feel really good if you start 3-1 or you start 2-1 going to that Kansas City game, saying, "Can we play with them?" And you look back and it's like the infamous quote from the 2000 Patriots, playing against, or 2001 Patriots playing against the Rams. They started out well, but the big bad Rams coming into town, the defending 2 years ago, they're Super Bowl champs, and they were obviously amazing MVPs 3 years in a row. They said they came in, and the Rams won, but the Patriots we're going to see them again, and I know we can beat them. We should have won this game, etc. So can you have that feeling? Maybe they lose, they start 2-2, but they lose 27-24 to KC. They play really well, and you'd feel good about going, all right, you know what, the Jets see them again, in 10, 15 weeks, they got a shot. So yeah, 3-3, 4-2, I think is reasonable. You don't want to start 1-5, and you definitely do not want to start 1-6.
Yeah, I would say
goes without saying.
I would say you're on.
I don't think that's going to happen, by the way, at all. They asked me that the other night, and I was like, could the Jets start 0-8? And I was like, I could make a better argument they start 6-2 or 7-1, but
it just the coverage of this team is outside of the Jet YouTubers and people like you that do it's infuriating. But anyway, JR Jet writes in, I see a lot of parallels between us and Colorado. Dion even spoke about receipts. They were overhyped. Now they're refavored for Heisman and national title. You? Well, we know you're not the biggest Dion believer, Will, based on comments you made earlier.
Yeah, well, I'm a USC fan, so I'm not going to get totally out of control over one game. I think it's really cool what Dion's doing, and it's really cool if Colorado makes a turnaround. They've obviously been a bottom feeder college football program for a while now, since the late 90s. That said, the Jets kind of last year were more that Colorado team where everyone thought they were going to suck, and they ended up being really relevant early on in the year, and they've got this upstart kind of head coach. I would say that comparison made more sense of Colorado this year and the Jets last year. This Jets team is much more like a USC, Florida State, these kind of places that they haven't been back they haven't been back late in January, early February in a while. And they've got a lot of promising guys, promising quarterbacks or coaches or something that's making everyone hype them up preseason and take care of business. I don't think the Jets are getting a lot of love from some places, so I don't feel like it's everyone's against them. I just think that there's a section of media, fan bases, etc., that don't like Rodgers, or they think it's just easy to be contrarian. Everyone's positive about the Jets; they want to be a contrarian. So I appreciate the comparison. I think I see it more of last year's Jets team where the receipts comment actually came from the Jets, and they started out much better than everyone thought they were going to.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you in that regard. And really, I think most people look at this Jets team and think they're going to be pretty good, but you have the loudest hot takers, so to speak, that are playing the other side here. What's annoying about that is their rationale for why the Jets won't be good. You could tell they just didn't watch a single snap of this team.
Oh, no. If I hear one more, this defense isn't actually good because they played backup quarterbacks. They played with a backup quarterback all last year. They had the worst quarterback play in the league. They also didn't play as many backup quarterbacks as you think.
They beat Josh Allen and Aaron Rodgers last year. Oh,
they're so bad. Also, the Steelers game, everyone loves to tell me how that was a backup quarterback. Mitch Trubisky was the starter, and Kenny Pickett came in mid-game as having never played before. He was not a starter. It's not the Jets' fault in a lot of situations. And it's not like they played badly against their worst games of the year, where they quote unquote sucked. Their defense was so bad that they held Jacksonville to 17 points defensively, and they on the road against Seattle, they were so bad they held them to 20 plus, around 20 points. They lost 5 games last year, giving up less than 20 points.
Dude, Zach Wilson lost 4 games last year, where the defense in those games gave up 3 total touchdowns. They lost a game where the defense didn't allow a touchdown last year. People don't bring that up. It's just you want to have your doubts on the Jets, fine, but have actual reasons. Not their defense is not as good as people think, or their O-line's bad. The O-line narrative, I think, is the worst one, because I actually think on paper, if you tell me you get help from the guys they're playing Monday night, I actually think they have one of the better offensive lines in the AFC.
The entire AFC East has horrible offensive line play at the moment in terms of how it's talked about. Any single person you talk to in Miami is incredibly concerned about them. That's even with Armstead, who might not play week 1. The Bills' offensive line's got its own issues. And New England's offensive line, Connor McDermott might start for the Patriots. That Connor McDermott that started tight end for the Jets randomly 2 years ago in the Zach Wilson game where he threw him a touchdown. That Connor McDermott might be starting. Okay, so. And that's where I'm the entire AFC East is offensive line questions. Again, you mentioned it. The Patriots defensive, the reason people are picking the Patriots still to be relevant is their defense. Their defense last year played just as many backup quarterbacks. They had feasted off their DVOA, got totally inflated by the 2 Zach Wilson games, the Sam Ehlinger game. And people in New England know this, by the way. That's why it's such a joke, is locally they know the defense is overinflated. They also played, Teddy Bridgewater last year, et cetera. Like they played a bunch of backups.
Doesn't get talked about though. It's the Jets.
Doesn't get talked about.
Overrated.
But when Josh Allen played them, he torched them both times and put up basically 40 points on national television 2 separate times. Again, it's not that there's anything wrong with the Patriots, right? Like they are a good team, but like it's just funny how the Jets defense is. Oh, this Jets defense is overrated because, last year they got Skylar Thompson twice. Like, dude, go back and watch some of those games. After week 3, that Jets defense turned into as good a defense as you saw in football last year.
100% with you there. Before we wrap up here, Will, you have a bold prediction you want to share with the audience? Is there any hot take or something you want to fire off? I've been asked this a lot, and I don't know. I have the Jets going 12-5 and winning the AFC East. I don't know if that's that hot of a take anymore, though. It feels like some people are starting to come around on that. So I'm trying to come up with some other ones. But you got anything you would like to share with everyone?
Obviously, no, I'm not the biggest hot take guy. I'll go
hot
3
takesman, as they say.
I'll go 3 predictions that I think are like maybe a little extreme, but I think Bryce Huff has 7 to 8 sacks. I think he has more than 5. Bryce Huff's gonna have more than 5 sacks. I'll go with that. I don't think that's like a hot take, but for the amount of snaps he plays, that'd be pretty insane. I'll go Tyler Conklin has more than 7 touchdowns. Again, not a hot take, but it's certainly be a career high for Conklin, the most Jets tight end has had in a long time. And I'll go Michael Carter. The second is a Pro Bowler as a slot corner.
Ooh, that's a good one.
I think he's a guy that is really damn good. And the Jets are going to be faced. If he catches 3 or 4 interceptions last year that he should have, he's probably finishing the year with 5, 6, 7 interceptions. Probably is a Pro Bowler last year. Actually, this is a better one. The Jets will have 3 Pro Bowlers in the secondary this year. Well, I guess it's pretty obvious who I think those 3 are going to be. DJ Reed, Sauce, and Michael Carter. But I think they have 3 guys that end up being Pro Bowlers for them.
How about Tony Adams as a Pro Bowler?
I love Tony Adams. I've been on Tony Adams bandwagon when he made the roster last year. I've pulled up some receipts the other day. I wrote an article about him like 18 months ago from talking to people at the Combine. They were like, they actually really like this kid. Like, they're not messing around. But yeah, remember, Jason Pinnock had an interception in practice. So obviously the Jets are losers for that.
Lewis writes in, I'm concerned with Saleh. He's been a below-average head coach. If we would have gotten rid of him and brought in Sean Payton, it would have felt like we'd be unbeatable.
I don't really know where to start with that.
Into the shadow realm you go.
It doesn't happen often where an NFL team or organization gets embarrassed. The Jets did that this year.
And I think he needs to keep my coaches' names out of his mouth.
That was awesome. No, of course, if the Jets had Sean Payton, people would have more, probably more faith in them because he's won a Super Bowl. And that's fair. I think it's fair to say Robert Saleh has not been perfect. Robert Saleh has not been. He's not the best coach in the NFL right now. There's no question about that. But I also think he doesn't get a lot of credit for a lot of what he's done. I think people just give Joe Douglas all the credit for every single move that's been made. And Robert Saleh is a really good scout. Really good at his job in terms of scouting talent, evaluating people.
And the coaching staff has helped develop these players. There's a reason why these rookies came in and played as well as they did right away. The coaching staff deserves credit for that.
Yeah, of course they do. The Jets went from the worst defense in football to the top 5 defense overnight. But again, the defensive head coach doesn't get any credit for that because, he hurt Zach Wilson's feelings, and he messed up a timeout in which Zach Wilson botched the 3 plays before that, and Elijah Moore ran backwards. So it really shouldn't have even mattered that he botched the timeout. Sometimes your players have to make you right, and sometimes you have to make your players right. Saleh needs to prove something. Obviously, if they don't make the playoffs, he's gone. But that said, I really like Saleh, and I think he's a guy that I think Jets fans should buy in more on. I don't get why there's a section of the fan base that thinks he's just a terrible coach, and I just don't get it. They went from 4 wins to 7 wins. They became a top 5 defense, and everyone got better. Everyone's gotten better on that defense under him. A lot of guys in that offense are going to get a lot better because they actually have a quarterback. You can blame him for, some moments, but blaming him for, the Lions game, sure. If you want to go for it, then go for it. But
it's one game. That's the only game.
I think it's just crazy to be oh, he's a bad head coach. Why didn't we bring in Sean Payton? You were going to pay Sean Payton $20 million a year and give up multiple second-round picks. You wouldn't have gotten Rodgers. So I don't know. Maybe deep breath. If he sucks this year, he'll get criticized properly.
Cool Hand writes in with a super chat. Thank you, Cool Hand. The Green Tsunami Wave after wave after wave. Let's go, JTS Jets. Will, would you like to throw a name out there for the Jets D-line nickname, which has been a conversation on this show for the last 3 weeks?
I saw you had one. There's like the Green Goblins or something. Was good. I don't know. It's like hard to. Dude, it's a hard nickname because you want that something to do with like New York and like something intense, but like, why can't they be the Avengers, dude? Why can't they be like the?
Someone brought that up. Yeah.
Why can't they be the Avengers? Like, yeah, I feel like it kind of makes sense. Solomon Thomas, though, being the Hulk just because he's the most jacked would be kind of confusing based on style of play. But I don't hate the Avengers. Why not? Especially if they're gonna do a Thor Hammer sack dance as a group. I feel like that's kind of cool.
It can't be sack
Gotham Gabagools.
Yeah, it's like Sopranos themes. I mean, it can't be something that mentions obviously like Sack Exchange 2.0. That's kind of like the whole genesis of the conversation. Like Sack Fifth Avenue works, New Sack City, the Green Goblins. There's a bunch. People keep throwing one out there. I don't know. There's been one that everyone's like, yep, that's the one.
Yeah, there's just the Green Glizzy Gobblers. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I don't know about that one.
I think I'm gonna pass on that one. That might be a different. That might be a different video you're watching.
Scott Foster writes in: Rodgers can manage the game and click from the field. RELAX, relax.
There's a good. I'm gonna post it out. There's a good clip of that Ben Fennell, who worked with the Packers for a while. Kind of in scouting side of things. He works for an NFL Network, but also on the scouting side with the Eagles now. Mentioned that Rodgers is the best game managing MVP ever. And it's not because he's like some game manager of Alex Smith, et cetera. He said like when Rodgers is kind of playing within structure and like gets the ball to his backs and receivers and then is able to do it. He's able to do that extra stuff, but like there's no one better at operating an offense. And I think it'd be really interesting to see if he kind of replicates that where he doesn't need to throw it 50 times. He's so efficient and doesn't turn the football over. And he still can incorporate those big plays where it's like, you think game manager of Alex Smith, a Jimmy G, but those guys with like elite level talent, and that's like, oh, they're amazing, right? Like that. It's just like that's why it's funny when you look at it. But I'm going to post that clip because it's an interesting. Rodgers being a quote unquote game manager this year is like not the worst thing because the upside of his other stuff is insane, and he's going to operate the offense well.
And if he's doing that, that means the running game's awesome. The defense is great. It's like he doesn't need to throw 35 times. It's like, hey, take care of the ball. Let the playmakers make plays. And this team is going to be really damn good if that happens.
Oh, they're going to be – I just think, like, we're not predicting 11, 12 wins because it's, like, green goggles. I think it's, like, a legitimate, like, this team is really talented. And, like, honestly, I'm trying to temper expectations, whether it's rooting for them covering it. Like, I'm trying to temper it a little bit with – thinking 10, 11 wins, and I want to see it on the field first before I fully dive into 13, 14 wins in a Super Bowl.
Will, could you imagine what this is going to sound like a week from tonight?
Dude, it's going to be – it should be awesome. Go Lions. Oh, I was like, why just go Lions? Such a random comment, but I realized why. Chris Jones, by the way, if Chris Jones is going to sit out, if they miss Vaughn and Chris Jones early on, dude, those games change a lot.
RJ, Super Chat, one of our last ones, then we're going to wrap up here with Will. The Air Marshals in honor of Q, LOL. Have you seen one ever tackle someone on a plane? Deep cut.
Yeah, it's an incredibly deep cut. I appreciate the deep cut, but it's 3:00 on Labor Day. I don't know if we're in that deep of enough of a cut mode.
Eden says Titan O-line. I'm not really sure. Is that the name of is that a D-line? I don't really know what's going on.
I'm a little confused. I'm gonna assume it means Titan D-line, which is decent. Just I feel like it doesn't have a pop. Like Brees Lightning and things like that.
Patrick's a channel member. He writes in Gotham Strike Force.
I don't hate it. I still like Avengers, but I'm biased.
Something with Gotham would be cool. I don't know if the Jets have ever had a nickname incorporated.
Gotham's Reckoning? I don't know. That's like – it's not really a nickname, though. Like Gotham's Reckoning, and just play the Bane voice every time they get a sack. It'd be kind of sick.
CJ Mosley did come out with a Bane mask last year.
That was incredibly cool, and they played some Tiesto, had some fireworks going. That's the loudest the crowd was last year, that in Buffalo. Mm-hmm. That Thursday night game, everyone was hammered, and then, Q strip sack, and then Zach Wilson.
3-and-out experience. Yeah, nothing like it. Average Joe says the Skyline. That doesn't really sound like a D-line nickname, though.
I'm not sure they want to debut the Skyline on 9/11 as a nickname.
Good point as well. Ronald's return from the realm, who says, "Will pause must-see TV."
Appreciate that.
How does it feel to be must-see TV?
I mean, having a face for radio is. No, I appreciate it.
Rob, the Bludgeon Brothers. He's a channel member. Thank you, Rob.
I don't hate that. I feel like you got to get something that's kind of a little nasty, like a little like makes you kind of like get fired up. Hawk.
Give us something good. Hawk, we're gonna send you the shadow round for that one. We can't read that comment on the air. That is not what we call family appropriate.
Into the shadow realm you go.
So I'm watching Hard Knocks. Jihad Ward pushed. A little late. Rodgers got real upset. Came back at Jihad with, "I don't even know who you are." What the hell was that? Oh man, come on, Aaron. Give me a break. Tough it up, dude.
Hey, man, just want to let you know that sometimes you gotta shut the fuck up. And this current time is just one of those times you gotta shut the fuck up.
I don't think you're a bad person. I just don't want to hear you talking anymore. You gotta shut the fuck up.
Broadway bullies. I actually kind of like that.
You're on board with that one?
I come on board with that one.
It's from Average Joe, man.
There was someone else put one in here.
Actually, Vince Vaughn watching the show. His username is just Average Joe.
Dude, that was a good the Jihad Wood.
Jihad Wood. I love that guy.
What a loser.
Not a real person. There's just no way.
There's no way that was a real accent either. That was the most Hollywood thing I've ever heard.
Ridiculous. All right, well, we'll get you out of here on this. What do you got coming up? TOJ, I just listened to your great interview that you posted the other day with Fireman Ed, which was awesome. So what else do you have coming up on the pod this week?
Yeah, we'll have episode Tuesday, Thursday, and then I'll have one out potentially Saturday morning, and then we'll obviously right before, I'll be on your show Monday. But there'll be one dropping Monday as well. I'm going to break down basically offensive side of the ball tomorrow, defensive side of the ball, Thursday, just expectations, kind of go position group by position group, and then, final expectations. And then Monday will be full Bills preview with some folks up in Buffalo. But there's a lot on there. And then the Badlands, I did a bunch of writing for the Badlands season preview guide that'll come out Thursdays, record predictions, breakdowns of players, and et cetera. So a lot coming on, and obviously we'll be doing this every Monday and make sure everyone comes in. Except next week. Next Tuesday, baby. Next Tuesday. Hopefully a victory. Hopefully a victory Tuesday, and not a sad and tired Jake and Will.
Have the Jets won a Monday night game since Week 1 against the Lions in 2018? I don't think they've won on Monday night since then. I could be wrong.
They haven't won a season opener since then.
No,
right?
But like specifically, that is true. They haven't won a season opener since that game in 2018, the Darnold first start. But have they won on Monday night in general since then? I can't think of it.
No, but I was just trying to find. They have not won. Their record on primetime is really bad.
Their record in the last 12 years is really bad.
Yeah, no, it's really, but it's like I think they're like 6-17 in their last 21 primetime games or something like that. Yeah, they're. Oh wow, yeah, no. I don't even want to look at some of those numbers. Those are disgusting. 22-59 in their last 71 or 81 games. Anyways, no, I think I don't think they've won on Monday night since then. I think the games I think of them winning on Monday night are like that weird Vikings Hurricane game with Favre and Randy Moss, and like those ones kind of come back to me as more than some of the other ones which we choose to ignore on purpose.
Yeah, I remember. It's weird. The first Monday night memory I have is the Revis 99-yard interception return.
Oh, again, I was at that game. Yeah, I was at that game. That was awesome.
Yep. And then 2011. There's been a couple, but I mean, we've had nothing for a long time, which is why this game next week is so big. So, Will, I'll talk to you in 8 days on what we are calling a Victory Tuesday. Now the Jets need to go out there and win 7 days from tonight.
Yeah, please win so we can have a happy chat. People open up the pocketbooks a little extra.
He's Will. My name is Jake. Appreciate you guys for watching. Like the video, folks. It helps the channel grow. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Jet fans, join the Patreon. Take advantage of the special. You sign up between now and next Monday night. Sign up for the year. It's 15% off. It's only $5 a month, but it's even cheaper if you sign up for the year. Patreon.com/Jake Asman Show. And, of course, join the Patreon to gain access to our Discord, because tomorrow in the Discord we have our final Hard Knocks viewing party of the year. Looking forward to that. Thanks again to Will Parkinson for coming on. Make sure you download the Turn on the Jets podcast, and I will talk to you guys next time. See ya. Have a great Labor Day, folks, and we'll talk to you soon.